Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today. This is the Bodega Cat Book Club Health Edition. And today we're continuing our reading of Never Be Sick Again by Raymond Francis with Kester Cotton. And we'll be reading chapter 6, and this is part 3. Alrighty. Let's do it. Anticipating food invaders. Toward the end of our shopping trip, I shared a fundamental yet largely unrecognized food shopping concept. Selecting non-toxic foods means selecting foods that are not contaminated with bacteria and molds, which produce toxins. When bacteria and molds contaminate our foods, they damage our health. As part of their normal metabolism, bacteria produce toxins that place a burden on the immune system and contribute to toxic overload, disease, and even even death. The most serious cases of bacterial food poisoning can result in death, such as the toxins produced by the Clostridium botulinum, the botulism bacteria found mainly in improperly canned foods, the E. coli bacterium found in improperly handled meat and a variety of other foods, and others, including the most common contaminants from Staphylococcal and Salmonella. Death from these infective pathogens is rare, but quite common is the exposure to low levels of bacterial toxins present in food, particularly animal products. Always smell meat, fish, and poultry. A rank, fishy, or rotten scent means that the product is too old or has not been properly stored. Bacteria are growing and producing toxins, and the oils are rancid and toxic. Never eat such foods. Commercial milk products are contaminated with bacteria. Government regulations state that after pasteurization, milk should contain no more than 20,000 bacteria per milliliter. Out of 25 milk samples analyzed by Consumer Reports, 7 samples had in excess of 130,000 bacteria per milliliter. Wow, that's like way above that number, above 20,000, huh? One sample had 3 million, had almost 3 million, and other samples had too many bacteria to count. When you consider the toxins produced by these bacteria combined with the toxins already present from agricultural and industrial sources, why would anyone still believe cow milk is good for infants and children? Cynthia and Tom were familiar with the problems of bacterial contamination, but they, like most people, had almost no knowledge of the problems with mold. I heard someone on YouTube say that coffee was made from mold. I thought, oh, yuck. Well, yeah, I switched to organic coffee. I don't know if that makes any difference, but anyways, I didn't know that about coffee. Not that mold problems are new. Stories from the Middle Ages tell of whole villages racing around in hallucinogenic madness after being poisoned by a type of mold, ergot, that grows on rye. Ergot produces a neurotoxin. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not sure. Ergot produces a neurotoxin that poisons the brain and central nervous system. These sick people would sometimes go to a local monastery where the monks would take them in and pray for them, and they would be cured. How? The monasteries were built on better land at the tops of hills, whereas the farmers lived in the lowlands. When the monks harvested their grain on the hills, it was drier than the farmers' grain in the wet lowlands, hence less moldy. When the sick farmers ate uncontaminated grains, they became well. The bizarre behavior of children in Salem, thought to be witchcraft, now is thought to have been caused by ergotism. Although we do not run around in hallucinogenic madness today, at least not from food mold, the problem of mold in the food supply persists. Molds can develop if crops are moist when harvested or stored. Food often spends weeks in the distribution process and becomes moldy by the time it reaches the store, even if it was not contaminated when harvested. Food has further opportunity to mold in your kitchen. Fresh living plants protect themselves from mold growth, just as we humans have an immune system to protect ourselves from disease. But as food ages and dies, molds grow. People eat these moldy foods, especially when the mold is not visible, unaware of the toxic loads they put on their bodies. Worse, many people have become allergic to molds, causing not only a toxic exposure, but also a toxic allergic reaction. In fact, people allergic to molds are often fine when they eat a freshly harvested berry or grape, but suffer an allergic reaction when eating the same foods purchased in the grocery store. If you believe that a food is moldy, do not smell it. Inhaled mold causes serious health problems. Wrap the suspect food and dispose of it carefully. Mycotoxins, toxins produced by molds, can injure and kill cells, and they are known causes of cancer, especially liver cancer. Because knowing the level of mold contamination in a particular food is difficult, the best approach is to avoid or minimize consumption of food prone to becoming moldy, such as corn, nuts, grapes, raisins, and all dried fruits, berries, beer, and other fermented foods and cheeses. Bottled apple juice frequently is moldy. Mm. Kids drink apple juice all the time. Oh my goodness. Apple juice drinkers are so accustomed to its taste that they fail to recognize the presence of this toxin. And kids don't know any better. They just get used to the taste. They might think that's normal. Wow. Interesting. If you bite into a nut and it tastes bad, spit it out. It is toxic. If there's any visible mold on any part of a food, throw the entire food away. Don't just cut off the mold. When a mold infection takes place, food naturally protect themselves by producing anti-mold toxins that are also toxic to you. Anti-mold toxins are produced throughout the food, not just the part you cut off. In general, susceptible products such as fresh berries must be purchased in season, freshly harvested from local growers, otherwise they are too old and too moldy, even if you cannot see the mold. I observe people in my local health food store purchasing a basket of, quote, fresh berries that already have visible mold. Obviously, they have no idea of how poisonous that is. One type of mold that grows on grains and nuts, particularly corn, peanuts, walnuts, and pistachios, produces a mycotoxin called aflatoxin, which is known to cause cancer. Although our government tries to regulate aflatoxin levels, highly contaminated crops are constantly finding their way into our food supply. The chilling reality is that aflatoxin is most commonly found in some of the foods that we most frequently feed to our children: cornflakes, other corn products, meat, peanuts, and peanut butter. Some cooking methods can cause toxins. Once we obtain high quality foods, we still must prepare them properly. The first step in non-toxic food preparation is to wash or peel foods in order to remove agricultural chemicals, bacteria, and molds. Waxed foods, such as most cucumbers, eggplants, tulips, and apples, definitely should be peeled because the wax often is covering surface residues of pesticides and fungicides that are applied before the wax is applied. Now that's interesting. I wonder if that applies to organic food, organic like cucumbers and organic eggplants and tulips and apples, because supposedly they're not sprayed with pesticides and fungicides. I don't know. Interesting. Uh, Also, questions abound about the safety of some of the waxes. For foods that cannot be peeled, washing under water for a minute or two does a relatively good cleaning job. Using a pure liquid Castile soap, a mild soap made from olive oil and sodium hydroxide, cleans even better. There's a product called oh, skips my mind. It's like at the tip of my tongue, but there's one, they sell Castile soap, which is pure Castile soap. I forgot the name now, Dr. something or other. If anybody knows, put it in the comment below. I know it's there at the tip of my head, my brain. For foods like lettuce, discard the outer layers and wash the leaves separately. Rinsing briefly in a vinegar solution lowers bacteria levels. Few people are going to eat 100% of their diet raw. I eat about 80% of mine raw. But whenever you choose to eat a raw food in place of a highly cooked or processed one, you obtain better nutrition and less toxic exposure. Cook foods lightly. Ideally, food should not be cooked at temperatures higher than boiling water or steam. Foods change fundamentally when they're cooked. They can become more toxic, less nutritious, and even more difficult to digest. Avoid browned or charred foods, which are highly toxic. Unfortunately, many Americans have developed a taste for charbroiled, toasted, or barbecued foods, which develop mutagens that contribute to cancer. When food is heated above 375 degrees, as it usually is in toasting, frying, grilling, broiling, and barbecuing, a number of toxic compounds can be produced, including heterocyclic aromatic amines, HAAs. HAAs are among the most powerful carcinogens ever discovered, and even minute amounts of them can damage your DNA. The rule of thumb is that the higher the temperature and the longer the cooking time, the more HAAs are formed. Thus, medium rare is safer than well done, and blackened foods are absolutely not acceptable. If ever I am served food that is black, I cut off the blackened parts. Even toast is dangerous. Experiments at Lawrence Livermore Laboratory showed that a well-toasted piece of bread had 20% of the cancer-causing activity of a well-done hamburger. Dosage and frequency are the problems. Many people eat several slices of toasted bread or bagel every morning for breakfast, which is like laying out a welcome mat for cancer. Microwaves, a fast track to trouble. Cooking food is not a good idea, especially at high temperatures, but cooking in microwave ovens may even be worse, maybe even worse. While not browning or blackening food like conventional cooking, microwaving changes the chemistry of food fundamentally, lowering nutritional content and producing unique toxins. A lot more goes on inside a microwave than just making things hot. Microwave zap food with enormous amount of energy, enough to break apart water molecules and cause them to react with the food in ways they would not do otherwise. These reactions create a lot of strange new molecules that are unnatural to the human body. Some of them are toxic and carcinogenic. Research in Switzerland, the former Soviet Union, and the United States all suggest that eating microwave food may promote certain types of cancers, hormone imbalances, lymphatic disorders, digestive disorders, immune and blood abnormalities, emotional problems, permanent brain damage, and even heart disease. In 1992, at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, volunteers who ate microwaved food experienced decreased hemoglobin content of their blood and an increased white cell count. Thus, microwaved food decreases the amount of oxygen available to our cells and stresses the immune system. Also, microwaves have been demonstrated to damage nutrients. Research at the Institute of Radiotechnology at Kinsk in the former Soviet Union found that microwaves reduce the nutritional content of food by 60 to 90%. When reheating food, use the stovetop or oven. Modern foods are already nutrient deficient. Why make them worse by using a microwave? Use the right cookware. The best pots and pans are those made of glass or ceramics, such as Corningware. I wonder if Corningware is still in business. I'll have to look it up after we finish this segment. Interesting. Other materials interact with foods and introduce some level of toxins into the food. Stainless steel contains nickel, both an allergen and a carcinogen. Hmm. Oh, I didn't know stainless steel is not good. I thought I thought it was good for you. I mean, better than the other ones like Teflon, right? I don't know. Interesting. I didn't know that. Good to know. I think I have to go through my kitchen cabinet now, go through my pots and pans. A study in the Journal of the American Dietetic Association found that toxic chemicals from stainless steel pots, including nickel, iron, and chromium, enter food during cooking. Aluminum from pots and pans and aluminum foil is another toxic contaminant. Aluminum foil. Yeah, we use that a lot too when we cook. Interesting. Can't get away from stuff. There's so many toxic stuff you can't get away from. Teflon coatings on cookware also present problems, especially when such cookware is heated to higher temperatures. Of course, not all meals come from your own kitchen. Americans eat an enormous percentage of food at restaurants. Making optimal food choices when eating at restaurants is almost impossible. However, with care in menu selection, you can usually do fairly well. As a rule of thumb, upscale restaurants usually have fresher and better prepared foods, while fast food restaurant offerings are more toxic and less nutritious. Yeah, even quote unquote upscale restaurants use unhealthy stuff. I have a friend that said she went to an upscale Italian restaurant and she found out they use canola oil. Like, what? Italian restaurant using canola oil. Wow, that just blows my mind. At the very least, use fake or diluted virgin what is it called? Olive oil, right? But canola oil. Wow. Anyways, many restaurants do not even cook for you. They merely serve prepared and processed foods that are reheated, perhaps in a microwave, so be sure to ask. Yeah, you could usually tell. Like sometimes my partner and I go to Denny's. We could usually tell. It's like we order chicken and we'll say that's a fake chicken. Oh boy. But we still go to Denny's. It's kind of nice. It's a nice sit-down dining restaurant. Norm's is a little better, but I don't know. Probably not that much better. Anyways, very few restaurants use high quality organic meats. Bear this in mind the next time you ponder a menu. Deep water ocean fish is probably your best choice, but only if it is fresh. Freshwater fish is likely to be contaminated with toxins, and farmed fish are neither nutritious nor free of toxins. When ordering out, I often select large salads or freshly harvested fish with vegetables. Many restaurants are willing to make up a vegetarian entree on request. Avoid anything that is blackened, as well as selections containing meat, and particularly dairy products. Make simple selections and be able to identify all the ingredients. Caution, this water is hazardous to your health. In addition to food, water is an essential ingredient for life and good health. Adequate water intake helps rid your body of toxins, both through the kidneys and through sweat. Shockingly, however, in a highly developed nation such as the United States, almost all of the water is toxic. It adds poisons to your body and is unfit to drink. Alkaline water is best because your body is made up of alkaline. Your body is alkaline in nature, so it's best to drink alkaline water, like Kangen water, Kagan water. I'll see if I can find a video on Kangen water and I'll leave a link on the description box. But there is a guy on YouTube, he was selling Kangen water, and his story was he had just a little side note here. His story was that he was diagnosed with prostate cancer and he didn't want conventional treatment. So he did some research and found Kangen water and he drank a gallon a day, maybe two, at least a gallon, probably 2 gallons. a day of the Kangen water, and his cancer went away. So interesting, eh? That makes sense, given your body's made up of is alkaline in general. Toxins from landfill runoff, sewage pollutants, industrial chemicals such as PCBs and vinyl chloride, agricultural runoff, particularly pesticides, leakage from gasoline storage tanks, and other pollutants contaminate our water. Some researchers believe chronic low-level exposure to these chemicals contributes to our cancer epidemic. Even those of us fortunate enough to live near a high-quality water source would probably be disappointed to learn that our local water supplier takes perfectly good water and contaminates it with toxins such as chlorine, fluoride, arsenic, and aluminum. Water then travels through municipal and household pipelines, which can add contaminants such as lead, cadmium, copper, asbestos, iron, and nickel. Oh my goodness. It's like from going bad to worse to even worse. Although these toxins exist in minute amounts, yeah, it's the accumulation of the minute amounts that's deadly. We drink water or beverages made with water daily, so we're exposed chronically. This exposure leads to toxic bioaccumulation, cellular malfunction, and disease. Minimize tap water consumption. Drink high-quality distilled or spring water, preferably in glass containers to avoid toxins from plastics. Purchase from companies willing to provide you with a chemical analysis of their water. An alternative to plastic would be not non-BPA plastics, I think. Another alternative is to drink tap water purified by a filter that uses reverse osmosis. Remember that commercial fruit juices and other beverage products are usually made with tap water. Pure water is what your body needs. When you can get it, choose it. What is in your drinking water? How do some of the toxins commonly added to municipal water supplies harm your health? About 80% of the drinking water in the United States is chlorinated. Chlorine is an extremely toxic and volatile chemical that reacts with organic matter in tap water to form carcinogenic compounds called trihalomethanes. Yeah, and they put chlorine in swimming pools, and you swim in the swimming pool, your skin absorbs it. Your skin is the largest organ in your body, and you absorb all that chemical in your body. That's crazy. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. These compounds bioaccumulate in fatty tissues and are capable of causing genetic mutations, suppressing immune function, and interfering with the natural controls of cell growth. You know, I've just noticed this book is very educational, but it doesn't give you a lot of note footnotes, like a lot of the research, scientific research studies and things like that. Maybe it's in the back, I don't know, but it doesn't provide that in the thing. I just realized that. Interesting. I was having so much fun reading it. So like I said, you want to take it with a grain of salt. Anything you read or hear or see, experiment it yourself. Be your own scientist. You know, take one aspect of what he's talking about. Maybe like the eating out, for example, you know, just take that one little piece and experiment it for a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever you want, and see what happens. See how your body reacts, see how your body feels. That's your best scientific scientific study right there. I'm sorry, got a little squirrel there. Where was I? Okay, long-term consumers of chlorinated water have been shown to have high risk of rectal, bladder, kidney, intestinal, liver, pancreatic, and urinary tract cancers, as well as spontaneous abortions. The Department of Health Services in California reports that women who drink bottled or filtered water have substantially lower rates of birth defects and miscarriages compared to women who drink tap water. Just opening the tap to wash your hands releases toxic chlorine fumes that, when breathed, damage your health. Taking a shower is many times worse. I use a charcoal filter in my shower to filter out the chlorine and organic pollutants. Fluoride is more toxic than lead and only slightly less toxic than arsenic. Yet we have been conditioned to believe that fluoride is good for us. Yeah, and they put fluoride in toothpaste. What's the deal with that? I'm a member of a supposedly health conscious members only uh store, I guess online store, I guess you could say. They have toothpaste. Both they have fluoride, toothpaste with fluoride and toothpaste without fluoride. And I get their toothpaste without fluoride. I wanted to write them and say, why you guys, are known for your health conscious stuff products, why do you still have fluoride in your toothpaste? Why do you sell fluoride with toothpaste with fluoride, right? Interesting. Anyways, where was I? Presumably we put fluoride in our water to prevent tooth decay. Although tooth decay has indeed declined worldwide since 1970, an event for which fluoride is often wrongly credited. The real reason for the decline remains unknown because tooth decay has declined at the same rate in countries that do not use fluoride. I found a company called Fresh Mouth that uses silver, no fluoride, uses silver. Silver is good. The use of silver is good for your immune system, from what I understand. I haven't done a whole deep dive into it, but they use silver for wounds and things like that that are found in the alternative medicine um area as alternative alternative medicine arena. I think I'll put a link of that toothpaste, Fresh Mouth, in the description box. I don't get any commission or anything like that from them. It's just something that I found on a YouTuber, a podcaster that introduced it, and it looks pretty good. So, anyways, most people are unaware that in more than 50 years of testing and widespread use, no one has ever been able to prove that fluoride is either safe or effective, which is why fluoride has never been approved by the FDA. After half a century of use, the FDA still classifies fluoride as an unapproved new drug. Dang. And the FDA allows it to be used. Gee whiz. Once again, we are guinea pigs in a vast medical experiment gone awry. The truth is, fluoridation of drinking water is making us sick, but no one is ready to admit it because of the almost unthinkable legal liability. Do you think it is a coincidence that toothpaste now have toxicity warnings about their fluoride content? Many young children swallow toothpaste unless supervised by adults. Yeah, if anybody has any suggestions or products that they use that are pretty healthy, put it in the comment below and we'll share it with the community. I appreciate that very much. The truth about fluoride is gradually being revealed. A number of large-scale studies suggest that fluoride does not prevent or may even cause dental problems. Fluoride bioaccumulates in the body and has been shown to damage teeth, bones, kidneys, muscles, nerves, genes, and immune function. In fact, fluoride toxicity is causing diseases such as dental and skeletal fluorosis. Dental fluorosis is a malfunction of tooth enamel characterized by brittleness and discoloration, ultimately damaging the health of the teeth. Dentists tell people that fluorosis is merely a cosmetic problem. In reality, fluorosis is a sign of systemic fluoride poisoning. More than 1 out of 5 U.S. school children now have some degree of dental fluorosis, and x-rays of children with dental fluorosis often show bone abnormalities, skeletal fluorosis elsewhere in the body. Skeletal fluorosis weakens bones in a manner similar to osteoporosis. Early stages usually are misdiagnosed as arthritis, and advanced stages usually are misdiagnosed as osteoporosis. The minimum crippling fluoride dosage, the dosage that can cause skeletal fluorosis, is 5 milligrams per day for 20 to 40 years. According to the National Academies for the Advancement of Science, yet Americans living in fluoridated areas average up to 6.6 milligrams per day. Fluoride is a powerful enzyme poison that fundamentally damages cell function, thereby causing disease and death. Mortality rates are higher in fluoridated communities. A 1978 study in the New England Journal of Medicine found that this pattern of a higher crude death rate in the cities with fluoridated water supplies was apparent for all categories of death, except for those by accidental means and suicide. According to Dr. William Marcus, a senior scientist at the EPA, fluoride is the only substance known to cause bone cancer, and bone cancer rates are 80 to 600% higher in communities with fluoridated water. Similarly, new research connects fluoride intake to Alzheimer's disease by implicating a reaction that happens between aluminum and low-dose fluoride. Most home water filters do not remove this toxin. You need to use reverse osmosis or buy bottled water that does not contain fluoride. Another toxin in our drinking water is arsenic. Arsenic is a contaminant in the chemicals used to fluoridate water. It's known to cause cancer and to damage the digestive, cardiovascular, neurological, reproductive, and immune systems. And I could be wrong, but I think that's the one that, who was it? Was it Plato, or who was that guy that drank poison? It could be arsenic. So yeah, it's a well-known poison. That was what I was trying to get at. Aluminum salt, alum, is added to water to purify it by helping to settle and remove particulate and organic matter. A study in the Journal of Epidemiology found that the risk of developing Alzheimer's is increased in individuals who drink water with high aluminum concentrations. Yeah, and they used to put that in baby powder. They finally took that off. Talcum powder. Boy, interesting. Foods that tamper with destiny. No discussion of food toxins would be complete without mention of the potential for poisoning the entire population with genetically modified foods. Genetic engineering is the process of disrupting the genetic blueprints of living organisms by inserting genetic information from other organisms to obtain some desirable characteristics, such as resistance to herbicides or insects. It's just people playing God. That's what it is, in a nutshell. You do not want to mess with God. Do not want to mess with Mother Nature. Bad, 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 bad idea. And it's bad karma too. These foods are novel and totally unnatural, and we have no idea what the future health consequences may be. Yet, avoiding genetically modified foods is difficult. Insertion of genes into genetic material is not a precise process. It is all too easy to obtain unattended results that lower nutritional content, create harmful allergens, or lead to the creation of unique toxins. The effects of these toxins may not become known for years, while irreparable harm is being done. The best way to avoid these foods is to eat organically produced foods. More on this subject in Chapter 9 on the genetic pathway. I recently was listening to a podcast about a doctor. She said our body is made to live to 120. Minus all the toxins and all the stuff all the bad stuff we put in our body. That's incredible. Can you imagine living to 120? What would you do if you knew you're going to live to 120? Right? Interesting. Okay, we'll stop here for now. That's a lot of information in this little section here. I hope you take some of it and do be your own scientist, do your own little experiment, and then share with us what you find. What works for you, what doesn't work. What works for one person might not work for another. That's why I think there isn't any one size fits all when it comes to healing. Western medicine likes to do that, like a one size fits all blanket, but it just doesn't work that way because we're all unique. Our bodies are unique. Yes, there are certain fundamental concepts or areas that everybody has or is similar, but we're still very unique individuals. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed that, and we will continue our reading next week. In the meantime, I hope you guys all have a great day and a great week. Okay, bye-bye now.